The conversation between Tom Bilyeu and Gad Saad covers a wide range of topics, including the threat of civil war in the West, the dangers of identity politics, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Islam's relationship with the West, and the importance of deontological principles. Saad shares personal experiences and academic insights to illustrate his points. Saad begins by discussing his tweet about the potential for civil war in the West. He believes that the assassination attempt on Donald Trump could have been a catalyst for significant unrest. He argues that the violation of deontological principles that made the West great is pushing society towards conflict. He explains that deontological ethics are absolute statements, such as, "it is never okay to lie," while consequentialist ethics consider outcomes. He contends that certain principles, like the presumption of innocence, freedom of speech, and the pursuit of truth via unbiased scientific method, must remain deontological to preserve Western values. Saad draws parallels between the current push for identity politics in the West and his experiences growing up in Lebanon. He describes how Lebanese society was organized according to religious identity, with potentially deadly consequences during times of conflict. He warns that this type of identity-based organization is precisely what progressives in the West are trying to create, prioritizing group membership over individual identity. The conversation turns to Donald Trump's reaction to the assassination attempt. Saad admires Trump's resilience, comparing it to the behavior of a honey badger. He argues that Trump's seemingly brash and unpredictable behavior serves as a powerful signal to international adversaries, potentially deterring aggression. He contends that the President of the United States should be someone that other world leaders fear to some extent. Saad emphasizes the importance of pursuing truth and maintaining deontological principles. He argues that attacks on the foundation of truth are more dangerous than the threat of dictatorship, which he believes is unlikely in the American system due to its checks and balances. He criticizes the current administration for violating deontological principles that define the United States, such as meritocracy and objective truth. A significant portion of the conversation focuses on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Saad, drawing from his personal experiences and academic knowledge, provides historical context and argues against what he sees as misconceptions about the conflict. He contends that the animosity towards Israel and Jews in the region is driven by Islamic doctrine rather than solely by territorial disputes. Saad shares personal stories of his family's experiences with Palestinian militias during the Lebanese civil war, including kidnapping and torture. Despite these traumatic events, he emphasizes that he has moved on and does not hold animosity towards all Palestinians. He argues that Palestinians should similarly move forward rather than maintaining a perpetual state of conflict. Saad expresses concern about the growing Muslim population in Western countries, particularly in his home city of Montreal. He argues that Islam, as an ideology, is incompatible with Western values of individual flourishing and coexistence. He distinguishes between individual Muslims, many of whom he considers friends, and the doctrine of Islam itself. He discusses the concept of cultural homophily, suggesting that immigrants who share foundational values with the host society are more likely to assimilate successfully. Saad warns about the potential long-term consequences of demographic changes, citing historical examples of societies that became majority Muslim over time. Saad criticizes the increasing influence of woke culture in academia, particularly the emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives. He argues that these policies undermine meritocracy and objective evaluation in fields like science and academia. He shares an example of a Canadian university restricting professorship applications based on gender and racial identity, which he sees as a violation of meritocratic principles. The conversation touches on the persistence of antisemitism and conspiracy theories targeting Jews. Saad discusses the phenomenon of blaming Jews for various societal problems, even in situations where such connections are absurd. He attributes this partly to envy of Jewish success in various fields and the human tendency to blame others for one's failures. Saad introduces the concept of suicidal empathy, which he plans to explore in his upcoming book. He argues that misplaced empathy and tolerance can lead Western societies to accept ideologies and practices that are fundamentally at odds with their values. He contends that the West needs to be more discerning about which cultural practices and beliefs it accommodates. The conversation also delves into Saad's observations about Tom Bilyeu's approach to decision-making and personal growth. Saad describes Bilyeu as having a prescriptive mindset, constantly seeking optimal solutions and pathways to achieve goals. They discuss the importance of understanding one's values and beliefs and how this self-awareness can lead to personal and professional success. Throughout the conversation, Saad emphasizes the importance of protecting Western values, maintaining objective truth, and being aware of the potential consequences of demographic and ideological shifts. He calls for a more critical examination of cultural practices and beliefs, arguing that not all ideologies are equally compatible with Western notions of individual freedom and flourishing. Saad's perspective is shaped by his personal experiences, academic background, and concern for the future of Western civilization. While his views on Islam and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict may be controversial, he presents them as warnings based on historical patterns and his interpretation of religious doctrine.